All right, Raw Wilkes. This is I'm with Raw Wilkes. This is Mr. Rembrandt, and this is AR Media Institute, and this is another episode, and we're gonna go ahead and get into it. Before I start, I want to tell everybody to go over to AR Media Institute. You could find us on youtube.com/AR Media Institute, or you can download the AR Media Institute podcast on all free podcast platforms such as iTunes. You can find the podcast there. You can find it on Spotify, and you can find it on all other free podcast platforms. If you want exclusive episodes and or bonus episodes, and you want to become a member of the AR Media Institute podcast platform community, you can go over to patreon.com/AR Media Institute. That's patreon.com/AR Media Institute. For a couple dollars a month, become a member to get exclusive content. Again, don't forget, if you are listening to this, you could also head over to AR Media Institute YouTube channel, and you can get all types of videos there, not just video cast videos of the podcast. You can get clips there, and you can get other cool videos, YouTube videos of me talking about different things that are not on podcasts, and other cool videos that are going to be uploaded in the future. So, without further ado, I'm Mr. Rembrandt, and I'm here with Raw Wilkes. So we're going to get into it. So obviously, before we even hopped into the podcast, we were talking about a lot of great stuff earlier, and some great stuff we were talking about, some of which probably won't even be able to remember or recite back. But if there's somewhere you can pick up, where would you want to pick up at, Rue? I'll let you actually even just shoot the direction.
What do you think that we would actually, with them being in administration, things will get back to normal and some of these mandates get lifted and things get back to a more, because obviously people start saying that they're progressive and there's a little bit of socialist ways that are starting to be adopted. And, with businesses, people taking people's businesses away in a way where they, obviously like the restaurants got hit hard, where things are just out of their power. Things are just out of their government got involved and took away people's way how they normally ran their businesses. When does that come back to normal, where we can just go to the bar, have drinks, be able to have social, experiences, go to the movies, be able to, things of that nature, the amusement parks and all this, everything being capped, the football games, the baseball games, and all the, the entertainment, the concerts, things of that nature. When do you think that will get back to, because it's going to have to get back to some form of normalcy eventually.
Yeah. That is the hope. That is the hope. That is the hope. It's hard to, you can only have a bad habit for a particular period of time before it actually becomes a habit. And once a habit becomes a habit, it's hard to break. You can almost say damn near impossible. You actually have to form a new habit in order to break a current habit. and to form a new habit is difficult. So you got to do something difficult to stop doing something difficult. So it's like, we hopefully we haven't already traveled too deeply into the rabbit hole. Uh, but I think we've traveled uh, deeper than I'm comfortable traveling, and it's by some people they believe a large part of this is somewhat of the new norm. If we do come back, I think it will be years, and it will actually be years from when we announce that we can go back to being normal. So the day that they say across the country you no longer have to have mask mandates and you're no longer mandatory, um, you're no longer mandatory subjected to social distancing and cleaning requirements for government every 2 hours for government agencies and companies.
Occupancy standards.
Occupancy standards. Once they announce that, I think it will be like 1 to 3 or 4 years before people actually you'll go somewhere and people most to where you'll see 90% of people not wearing a mask or even being comfortable being next to each other. I think there will be, because the population, believe it or not, is more of the population is slightly neurotic than not neurotic. So because people are very subjected to anxiety, stress, sadness, uh, negative behavior, I think people will even constantly wear masks and social distancing and be a little unrational when it comes to cleaning and all sorts of things, even after we have 70, 80, 90% vaccine participation and the government says you have nothing to worry about. I still think people will still be playing the will be still be playing to the illness protections. I mean, what do you think the current what do you think the future is going to look like?
Yeah, I think like kind of you were saying, I think it's definitely it is what it is. There's a form of control that's being pushed upon us that if it's scientific that it was necessary, that's one thing. But when the science and the policies don't match, then I have to assume that it's done with not the intention of being right, but the intention of just having control.
Yeah.
So then it comes down to, as I remember when you said a long time ago, we talked, like people don't get into politics for money. People get in for politics for power.
For power. Yeah.
And there's definitely a shift of that power happening right before our eyes that I would have never thought in a million years that the stuff that we're seeing today would ever been possible. If you would have told me 10 years in hindsight that, you'll be walking around all wearing masks and stuff like that, like the movie Breakout or something like that, with the monkey or something like that. You know what movie I'm talking about? It like something like that where it's just a movie, there's some disease going around infecting people that I would have never thought on a countrywide, maybe on a isolated incident, but not on a global.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, the future is definitely in the way that, like you said, the blood's in the water, the sharks are in, they can taste it, and it's like they want more.
Yes.
Just to simplify, I don't know, not to get too deep, but just to simplify that I just don't feel like there's steam rolling, And then I feel like there's people that are like, well, why is it? Why is this? Why we got a little bit of this? Let's see how far we can go.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that this is happening. We're just going to stop and just go completely back to how things were.
No, right,
There's a
exactly.
lot of things. There's a lot of things that are probably moving behind the scenes that you and I have no idea. That's
Yeah.
gonna get. That's gonna come. Come to fruition. That is being policies being created as of right now. Just with the fact that they got the House and the Senate. I'm sure there's policies being written right now. To get to work, just to get things going.
Yeah.
I mean, as you would hope that things have the good intention, but you're still, like you said, you're still human, and we're creatures by habit, by nature. We have habits, and if this is the way that they're acting, I can't see it changing.
Yeah.
I just can't see it changing because it's just things are happening in a way that you saw what they were trying to promote that got blocked by the Senate many times that they were trying to pump out. I mean, they were trying to pump out radical plans. I mean, $2,000 checks to every American for 12 months. I mean, you saw some of the stuff that these people were writing up.
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. It's like ludicrous, man. But I mean, that's why I said I'm a little worried. Just the fact that there's a lot of power they have as far as right now, because there's no excuses for them not to do. If you are a liberal right now, there's no excuses for them not to get stuff done because there's nothing holding them up.
Yeah.
There's nothing to hold them up. So there's probably going to be a lot of expectations. That's what I'm scared of. There's a lot of expectations for them to do a lot. And with that expectation is going to, because they're, definitely, that would be my take on it, is the fact that it just comes down to control, government control, because as you know, Democrats want more government, not less government, more restrictions, which means more control, more
Yes.
power. So to say that that's not the case, you're just not understanding the difference between conservative and liberal and Democratic Republican.
Yes.
It is what it is. And the fact that they can now use this pandemic as a shelter or as a shield to say, oh, we need more government because we're looking at the best interests of the safety of the people. And they're definitely using this as an scapegoat. There's no question that this is an scapegoat, this whole pandemic, when it comes down to politics.
No, it absolutely is.
They're able to tie the politics into this, and it's not fair because one doesn't have to do with the other.
No, absolutely.
That's just my opinion. I know everybody's got a different opinion, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, and it is kind of shocking. It is kind of surprising, and it has been said. Uh, it's been said. It's been pointed out by many others, and there's even a forum on it called the Great Reset, where I don't know if you've seen it, you looked into it, where
it's a global reset, right? They're talking about a global reset.
Yeah, it's called global reset, or a lot of individuals are calling it the Great Reset.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna make sure we're on the same page. Yeah, I've heard it.
Yeah, which is which basically it's tying basically into everything that you just said. I mean, using this COVID situation to basically change everything, to absolutely positively change everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the future, but hopefully, um, we won't have to worry too much about what happens. But you never know, man. It's just all too scary. I mean, I agree. That I don't like how this this pandemic was used in a way to promote agendas. It was used in a way to take advantage of agendas, promote agendas, and there's even a saying and a quote that you can't ever let a tragedy go to waste in politics. I mean,
No,
how sad.
Yeah.
How
I've heard
sad.
that. Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm saying. It'll be interesting to see what happens in these next couple of years.
Yeah. I just hope that it doesn't I hope the economy just doesn't go to a point where it gets very unstable.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta let certain things fail. As you know,
failure is healthy.
It's healthy.
Natural failure is healthy.
Just pumping all this money into these businesses with all this government spending is not healthy.
No.
To a certain degree, it's just we did what we had to do. I get it. You did what you did. It does help the market a little bit to have quantitative easing into the market. Get it. I get that.
Right. A little bit is fine. Fine. Great.
A little bit is fine. Right. And that does help things to recover in a way that's not super long. But there's a point where enough is enough, and now it's not doing us any good. It's actually doing us harm.
Yes, absolutely.
Because even if you were at the top of the market before the pandemic happened, even if you bought at the high, somebody was saying that by 8 months or by August, you would have already been back. You would have already been basically at a match. Basically, whatever, even if you bought at the high, it recovered in like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, the market. Yeah, less than that. Yeah.
Yeah, was it less than that? Somewhere around that point. So it's like, we're already kind of recovered. Recovered.
Right. And it was really just, market wise, it was just really just a flash drop off.
Right.
It's really just like basically, similar to that of a flash crash. But yeah, all of the, Peter Schiff said the other day, I mean, when you have commodities high, you have real estate high, you have stocks high, and you have frivolous, untangible commodities such as Bitcoin high. Guess what? Everything's bubbling.
Oh my God, yeah.
Everything's bubbling.
Yeah.
And how long will this last?
It can't. No, it can't. It's unsustainable.
How long will this last with everything bubbling?
And the average person is going to take the hit, and then the rich is going to get richer. As you say, I mean, I know you said before, it's like they say, what do you think? They all get greedy, say, or not greedy, but they all like, what do you think about the recession? We're all just going to get rich.
Oh, yeah, exactly. When the market crashes, what do you guys say when the market crashes?
We get rich. Recessions happens, we get rich. It's hard to say that to the average person, but for you and I now understand that, there's just, when the market goes down and you're able to have enough capital to buy at the bottom, it comes back tenfold and better.
Yeah. It comes back tenfold and better.
But I get it, because they wouldn't want the average person to know that in their 401k or their 457B plan and all these plans, they don't want you to pull out money, because they make money, as you know, as a person that deals with that, you make money on the management fee of what money assets invested. And people were smart enough to know that when things were at a high, to sell off and buy off. And then and then when it crashes, to put the money back into it. The hedge funds people don't want that. They don't want you knowing that, because then they're losing off a management fee of money invested asset, cash invested into the asset. The management fee, and of course over time they're like, no, just hold it, it'll recover. But they don't want the average person knowing when to pull out and then put it back in and then be able to do that. That would basically go against their way of making money. If all the large people that have their own funds would know that, just to know the simple of pull out high, buy low, sell high, and then buy low. Just over a course of 20 years, because you know what it is. There is flashes up and down.
Oh, yeah.
If some people knew how to do that just naturally, how much would, again, that's why I say, I just think it out loud when it comes to just basic 401ks and stuff. It's like that information can never be taught. Even though it's simplistic, it would never want to be shared. It's like, no, just write it out. Of course they're going to want you to write it out, because that's the money. They want to keep the money in the pool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and not only that, it's to on a lighter note, to defend them a little bit. I mean, it does have some validity, because again, if we are talking about the average retail investor, they don't have the equanimity, they don't have the temperament to keep money in and just write it out for the long run. Like John Bogle says, he basically gives advice to the world in saying, as an investor, you should put money into a fund, a mutual fund or index-like fund for over the course of 30 to 40 years, and just put it in over time. Never look at it, and when it's time to retire, open it up and enjoy and reap the rewards of it. So the 401ks and IRAs and government retirement plans that are attached to the market, that are that you cannot pull out, deferred comp that you can't pull out from it until retirement age. Those have a lot of validity, because without those, people would not generally be able to retire. The average Joe would not be able to retire, because he doesn't have the temperament to invest, set it, and forget it.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
And also to the to defend the government endows, it does allow them to have a fund that keeps growing, that I wish that, which some cities are and some governments are and some states are, to use that fund in a way financially that could help to benefit the local community to embetter them. I mean, it's people don't really care what you do with their money if they feel like they benefit from it. Whether it's paying taxes or whether it's locking up their money in a government endow. Listen, if working for a government agency, regardless if it's me, you, or somebody else, if they say, listen, we're going to mandatory take 5% out of your income, and it's going to go into this retirement, and you can't touch it until you retire, and you can't pull out from it. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to put into it, and you'll be able to retire after so many years. But also, we're, over time, are going to be able to make money off of it also. That's going to go to the city, the community. And over time, it's going to help build buildings, build more churches, build more playgrounds, build better equipment for first responders. And it's going to happen organically over time with more growth and more people being involved. And then they have a plan and they show it. People are going to be like, well, okay, man, I ain't too upset with that.
No, because no, I agree with that.
But it's but it's when governments, like what they're doing now with all this spending, and then you want to increase taxes and take 50% of my money. and then you just want to give it away and just spend it in all kind of frivolous manners like Green New Deals and uh, say basically wiping everybody's responsibility away from paying their school. Then people start saying, well, my confidence in the government, I don't really feel confident in you guys anymore. I'm not really sure if I do.
And now I'm trying to find every write-off possible so I can control what I spend in my taxes and not you.
Yeah. Or maybe I just want to take my money and just go somewhere else.
Yeah, that's true. Go to somewhere else.
Maybe I just want to go to Tokyo or something, or maybe I just want to become a permanent resident in Puerto Rico or something.
I'd rather, not to segue, but that's why I'd rather, from a real estate standpoint, real estate investing standpoint, I'd rather just have a lot of maintenance issues and repair issues because those can write off my taxable liability, but at least those benefit me directly. Because if I either have to pay $6,000 to the government in taxes or $12,000 in taxes, I'd rather just have that written off with $12,000 in repairs. And I would just make repairs happen, because at least that repairs are going directly to the value of my asset and not just $12,000 to the government and they just do whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
Just as an example of why people choose certain things over the other, it's not, you got to pay one way or the other. So why not pay for something that you have control over, which is your asset? Or like you said, just you have control over to move somewhere else, and live somewhere else and do whatever. So that no matter what happens, smart people still can make choices and decisions and benefit regardless of whatever happens.
Yeah.
That's why you're never going to win. You're going to shift stuff and people are just going to get smart and find the loopholes. That's what we do as people that deal with large issues are going to find ways to circumvent them.
Yeah. But believe it or not, in which you understand, but some other people might not understand, it goes back to the point that we were making, is that, the above average people, the smarter people, the more conscientious people find a way. The average individual, the below average person, suffers.
Right, that's what you're saying. Yeah.
The average and the below average individual will suffer because of it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
When you make a policy that tries to stab rich people, successful people, slice them, undercut them, put an ice pick to their throat financially, you can never hurt them.
Yeah, of course not.
What that's all going to do, that's going to whip on all the way down to the low person.
Yeah,
that's all it's going to do. It's going to whip on down to the consumer.
They didn't get to that point of success not knowing how to solve problems.
Yeah.
So you
exactly
give them another problem to deal with. They didn't get to that level not dealing with complicated, highly sophisticated problems
every day.
Yeah, so it's like that's just another problem we have to deal with. Like you said, I agree, it does trickle down because there's going to be a point where the average person doesn't know how to deal with the problem. So they just give in and just do what they have,
Right.
Like I said, when you're in the middle class and below, or you're not an entrepreneur, you don't pay taxes. They take taxes.
Right.
Your taxes are taken out of your check before you even get it. So
right.
Are you really paying taxes, or are they just taking it?
Yeah, they just take it.
I always look at that. It's like, you don't pay taxes, they take it. It's not like you're literally at the end of the year, like businesses pay a bottom line at the end.
Right.
Because you get to keep all your gross income, then you have to pay at the end of the year. That's right. Different. Most people in the working field don't have that luxury.
Right.
You're hoping on a tax return at the end of the year, which I guess most people get that, but you're not in control of that in the whole year like us, where we can invest that money. It's not being held by the government until the end, until you get it, apply for your return and then get a tax return.
Yeah.
That's why I used to hate that. When I was younger, I used to file zero You know what I'm saying? Try to get as big a return as I got. And I realized all that money that I'm getting at the end of the year, I actually would have wished I had it throughout the year because I would have had more use for it.
Yeah.
You know, something, you know, that I grew over time. I was like, nah, shoot, I'm trying to, you know, try to make sure at the end of the year, I don't get any tax return. Try to break even.
Yeah.
You tell people that, like, what? You know, it throws them off. What? You don't get no tax return? What do you do wrong? You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. Right.
You don't know what you're doing. Even if I owe a little bit, that's fine. That means I didn't give the government any money.
You didn't give them more than they're supposed to have. Yeah.
But I think it comes back to what you were saying in the earlier beginning of the video. People are just used to what they're used to. And if I'm used to always getting a tax return at the end of the year, it doesn't matter how much sense it makes that you end up doing the correct thing. It's not what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And I was expecting a $2,000 or $3,000 return or more. And this year I didn't get it. So now I blame Trump. See, I used to get higher tax returns. Now I blame Trump. My tax return is a little lower.
Yep.
Even though you got more in your paycheck, your tax return might have been a little lower, but you actually got more in your paycheck. And somebody like, no, I actually lost money. That's why I'm not voting them. Vote for them again, or something like that. I've heard people say this. Yeah. It's the fact that I pay more in taxes ever since Trump got in. But you can't. I don't get into those arguments with those type of people because it's like, what are you talking about, man? You must not understand. Let's look at your total bring home from last year's this administration versus the previous.
Right.
But that would call you to do dirt, and that would be to say that you don't have confirmation bias.
Right, exactly.
They wouldn't want to do that because if I end up proving them wrong, it'll go against the narrative, and they're like, yeah, it's not that serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that serious. Let's pull it up. But you know, it's easy to just say that something's wrong based on one metric.
Of course.
You can't just use one metric to make a decision on something.
No, you can't. No, because essentially, you know, that's an inductive reasoning. You know, the many aspects about something that are that would make a situation true, and then you basically are saying something that's false, but you're making it appear true by just giving one example.
Right.
Yeah, you're giving one. You see, listen. Oh, yeah. You know what? It has to be true because look at this one example here. This one example here. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's inductive reasoning. It's not based upon fundamental logic. It's something that somebody's looking for a confirming bias perspective or point of view when it comes to arguing a point.
I said, don't look at your take-home pay. Just look at the effective tax rate.
Yeah.
That's what I said. That's what you have to go by anyway. Did they increase the tax rate or they lower it?
Right.
You know, that's what I go by. I don't care what you do at your check because there's so many ways and loopholes and things that could be different based on how you file.
Right. Exactly.
I just look at the blanket effective tax rate for this income bracket, this income bracket, this income bracket, and so far.
Straight up.
You know, and I said that again, back to I follow policies, you guys follow emotion. Because when I tell people who I voted for, you know, and I don't have to say the name, I'm pro real estate, I'm pro investments. You know, that's enough. That's all I got to say for you to know who I voted for. But it's like I look at the concept of what the policies benefit me, and that's it. I don't care about all the rhetoric.
Yeah.
And I was telling people at work, like, how do you do this? He does this, this. I said, listen, I am so past that I don't even hear that. That's white noise to me.
Yeah.
I only go by what's on ink and paper. And if whatever's on the ink and paper, I said, so you're telling me that I can say all the right things to you, but on paper, backstab you, and you'll be okay with that? No, I'm not okay with that. No, that's what you're basically saying, that as long as somebody says the right things, it doesn't matter what's on the black and white ink. Because as long as you're making me comforting me with your verbal
right
presence, you can actually have the worst freaking agreement that benefits you 100%. I backstab you 1,000%, and apparently you're okay with that until the end, until the dust settles. Then you're gonna look at the paper and say, "Dude, I thought you were what you said. You said I thought you said you were, what you was, or whatever."
Yeah, see,
Like, listen,
and
man,
that's
I
what,
trust you on ink.
and obviously that is what
Obama.
your the moderates that are fearful about, um
Oh yeah. There's a
because
lot of noise.
they know that even though he might speak nice, not articulately, but he might speak nice, but at the end of the day, uh, they know that when it comes to putting that pen to paper, there's
Oh
going
my
to be
God.
a lot of uncomfortable things that are going to be struck with that pen.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. I just wish that we, and I was able to say that to this one individual, and they finally agreed. They're like, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not looking at policy, because I asked them name 4 policies that this individual affected you that you dislike. They couldn't name any policy. They just kept naming about what he said and how it makes them feel.
Yeah.
In all the propaganda and all this stuff, this, and the narratives and all this. Not once did they mention anything from a policy standpoint. And I said, dude, I can't get into this because this is comedy. This is entertainment for most people.
Yeah.
I'm not in the entertainment business. This is not, I don't get into the entertainment of who said, she said stuff.
Right.
And the semantics. I don't get into that. And you shouldn't either. I was actually challenging this individual saying you shouldn't get into that either.
Yeah.
You're supposed to maneuver through all that and just get right to the source.
Exactly. 100%.
I said I challenge you to do the same. Because you are easily manipulated. You can be easily manipulated. Because you're just going to go with the nice, soft, pleasant leader that's going to be like the priest that ends up fondling you.
Yeah. Or Jim Jones. Yeah, like like the Jim Jones, where he used religion to basically, because he knew he can get a great following that way, and he, with religion, took everybody to an island and snuffed everybody out.
Yeah.
But it was easy for him to do because he used his charm. He used his charm, to basically, like you said, to manipulate.
Yeah.
Hide behind the smile and the wave and the niceness and the religion.
Oh my God,
No, this guy's got to be right. Look at the religion. No, it's just, the religion is
I
great.
know,
It's
man.
actually, oh, everybody, let's go on a trip. Let's go on a trip. Yeah, let's go on a trip. As soon as they get to the destination, snuff them out.
Do you think there's some degree in the human DNA that people that talk with confidence and a lot of conviction, that has to do with some degree of survivability of why people tend to follow people that might not always be correct, but they have ability to lead with their verbal and the way they go about things and how they say it and do it? That it seems like that in a lot of the ways that people like to follow the person that seems super confident, have high conviction, and they follow it blindly. And maybe over millions of years, this seemed to be true in some degree, that this actually is effective. That people follow this because there's something in the DNA that people naturally resonate with people like that.
Oh yeah, I mean, we are social creatures. We are social creatures. We are tribalistic creatures in nature, and most creatures and animals are. You know, wolves are, monkeys are. They're tribalistic. They follow in packs, and you know, like other social scientists have said, they are very much adhered to a game of hierarchies, and not necessarily hierarchies of power, but hierarchies of um, you know, different things. Uh, some of the aspects when it comes to people, we follow hierarchies of some of the qualities that you named. You know, things that look like a leader, for example, and people look up to leaders and they look for guidance. Whether it's a good leader or not, it will depend upon what the individual personality is of the person and what they deem to be uh, worth following. And nowadays, because of social media, people are more capable and more able to fall into many different groups that before probably weren't even obviously available. You know, it's human nature. We've been doing it since the beginning of time. It's probably one of the ancient, age old, deep rooted, ancestral capabilities that we've had deep down in our brain since the beginning of time. You know, if we can unpack some of the age old characteristics or untouched parts of our brains that are instinctive, that are not formulated by things that we've done over time, but that's actually completely instinctive, that would be one of them.
That makes sense. Yeah, I always thought about that just in general, you know, 'cause it seems like when it comes to people like in sales or, I mean, even that game that started in like, I think was January, February, March, like around April, that, I think it was that SOU game, SOU game, where people were, you just put $100 and if you get 8 people, you get paid out 800 or something like that. It was some pyramid scheme game. And it came during right once the pandemic hit and things went down.
Yeah.
You know, the Ponzi schemes started coming out. But because, back to what I was saying, because certain people talked with it with so much conviction, and some of these people had large social followings, they were able to get it a lot of steam.
Yeah.
And people started following it blindly. And then there was also what we call confirmation bias, where some people were actually getting paid and showing their bank statements that, look, I did get paid $800.
Yeah.
And as we know, when it comes to a pyramid scheme, all it is money in, money out. There's no product, there's no service rendered, there's nothing but money in. So obviously the people in the beginning, so obviously if you got one person, 8 people paid in for that one person to get paid out, but then you need 16, then 16 turns into 32 people, then 32 people turns into 64, and then it gets crazy where you need thousands just to move 2 people forward.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, obviously we understand that, but I got people used to text me trying to get me to join it, knowing that I'm already in stocks, real estate, and you know, and I'm a credit basically expert, and you're trying to get me to play some child's game.
Yeah.
Like not that I got offended, but I was like, out of all people, why would you hit me up to play some mindless game?
Yeah.
You know, just because, well, look at this guy, he has such and such following, he's recommending it.
Yeah.
And I was back to what I was saying about the leader stuff, where it kind of gets people, the blind follow the blind, essentially. And I was like telling people that, like the guy we know, Breon from school, he was one of them, kind of tagged me. It was John. He was like, yeah, bro, y'all just don't know the strategy. That's why y'all not doing it. You don't know the strategy.
Yeah.
I said, bro, I messaged him directly. I said, bro, the person that created the game is the smart one. You're not. No offense. You're not the smart one. The person that created the game is the smart person.
Yeah.
The person that creates the Ponzi scheme is the intelligent person.
You're right.
Not the person playing it. it's hard to wrap people's head around that. It's like you know that this is you should anyway. You know, not to get off topic, but back to the fact that the just leaders, people following just leaders that talk a good game and they show a couple results, and boom, people are all behind, are all like you said, 20-second, 30-second clips is all people needed to go. Oh, maybe I should do it because everybody was financially in desperation.
30-second clips,
I
1
felt
minute
bad
clips.
because people were getting taken advantage of. You know, people lost money because of this.
Yeah. No,
You know,
30-second
shiny
clips.
objects, bro, like casino-ish, like a shiny object. Stay away from the shiny objects.
You know, lessons are good.
No, it is good because we all go to some degree of that. We dabble into certain things like that. So I ain't gonna say I ain't never done it.
Yeah, because I mean, we got burnt with the U token.
Oh my God. I mean, if we want to spend the money we spent on U token in the other token, as we all know today, yeah, it'd be a different game right now. Because that was what 2010. I mean, we're talking early. We're talking like we were
15. No, maybe 14.
earlier than that.
It was
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah. I mean, we're in the early stages of that. Yeah, I mean, things happen for a reason, but yet the fact that we were still kind of on it. Yeah, but when you're younger, I'm not trying to make excuses because it is what it is. It's just something when 30-plus-year-olds and 40-year-olds are hitting me up about this, about certain things like that, is where it's kind of like, when you're younger, you're kind of like, you're just into certain things. You're just looking at, certain come ups.
Right.
There's got to be a certain point where you're older. You got to be a little more conservative, and things like that shouldn't kind of hit your radar. Like, oh, let me get into that.
Yeah.
35 years old, bro. I mean, there's a certain level of maturity that now needs to be had.
Yeah.
We didn't really have real bills like that. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have responsibilities not as high as it is now.
Right.
Like, I would never do something like that now. I got too much going on to be really dabbling in kind of speculative things.
Yeah. They're just too smart for something like that because we already know we've already been around the block many times.
Right. Right. True. So that helps the experience.
Yeah. Sure. So with that said, we're gonna conclude this episode of the AR Media Institute podcast with Mr. Rembrandt and guest speaker Raw Wilkes. Again, to all the people listening, you can listen to the AR Media podcast on the Spotify platform. You could also listen to it on the iTunes platform. And for exclusive episodes, bonus episodes, and all other episodes and episodes available on the free platforms, you can listen to them on the patreon.com/AR Media Institute platform with no ads, ad free. And again, you can listen to them with exclusive and bonus episodes there at patreon.com/AR Media Institute. Again, that's patreon.com/AR Media Institute. And you can watch some of the AR Media Institute videos on youtube.com/AR Media Institute. We have videos there. And you can follow me at Mr. Rembrandt on Instagram and AR Rembrandt on Instagram. And you can follow guest speaker Raw Wilkes on Instagram at raw_Wilkes. It's RAW_WILKES. And thanks for listening to the episode, and stay tuned to the next episode. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and we'll see you all in the next video.